Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial. And today in this episode, what I think we'll do is we may start to extend the roof down. I think I might quite like to start around the rear wheel arch as well. So what we'll probably want to do is, let's see, it looks like our roof is fairly nicely set up to do this. So what we'll do is I'll maybe grab all the edges here, like so. And we're going to do what we usually do, and we will hit Control E. Now, there's quite a lot of information inside these blueprints here, but it looks like we're going to want to go to about there. And we'll bring this down to something like this. And let's just turn off the X-ray so I can see. We can get this positioned nicely around here now. Oops. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to follow this line quite nicely. So we can start to see here that we want these 2 points to actually come all the way down and around here. And what we'll do is we'll try to follow this line all the way as we go. So I'm going to want to maybe drop this one here and this one here. This one, maybe what we'll do is we'll bring that up to the edge there. That looks good. Maybe want to adjust that a little bit better there. Now we're going to be able to drop them down a little bit higher, a little bit lower to where they should be. So here, here, and then all of these look like I'm going to need to adjust them like so. Okay, so that looks good. And what we'll want to do here is we're going to want to insert some edge loops. And I think what we'll do is we'll drop one around here. Should work quite nice. And we're going to want to make sure we're maybe a little bit closer there. Bring those down. And maybe bring these two up here. Now it looks like maybe want to bring that a little bit further over there as well. And in our top view here, we're going to want to make sure we're following that curvature. Okay, I'll maybe bring this one down a little bit closer here. Let's actually bring back our X-ray. We'll see something like that. And that. Okay, and we'll maybe just do one more. So I'll insert an edge loop just around here. Bring that up there and around here. So we just want to get some base geometry in just now. So maybe just get this down here. And again, we'll just make sure we're running nicely along here, which we're looking pretty good. Okay, so we'll leave that roof section there. What we're going to do is we'll work along the wheel arch here, and we're going to do something very similar to what we did at the beginning. And we're going to grab this here. I'm going to rotate this around and bring this forward like so. So we're going to want to get this in position. We're going to do the exact same thing as we did before. I think we used the same amount here of subdivisions. The only real thing I think we did back in episode 1 was we changed the thickness to 0.1. We're going to want that thickness to be roughly the same, because I imagine those areas on the car here will be roughly the same, and then we're just going to extrude it out until it matches up quite nicely around here, like so. Maybe we'll take it down just a little bit. Okay, so that looks like I'm doing what I did in the first episode and aligning it to the tyre. Okay, so that's looking okay. Again, let's get our X-rays inside here. Maybe go a little bit more. And drop that down. Okay, so that's looking good. What we'll probably do is we will ditch these faces here. And all of the extra faces here and here and here. So we've ended up with pretty much the same as what we had before on the front. Take that in here. Now what we're going to want to do with this again is the same as what we did before. Now what I've done here is I've just imported some wheels in from a previous model, and the reason I like to bring wheels in at this point is just because we want to make sure that we're running nicely around the actual location here. We can see that we'll actually want this to be sat a little bit further out. Now often on sports cars the way it actually works is the rear track is a little bit wider than the front track, so we can see that we're just about in that grid there. Got a little bit more on this rear here, it's got a little bit more clearance over that tyre. So what we want to do at some point is move these a little bit further out, but that for now will be fine. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to use these now to position to match what we have on the front. Now what we want with this bit is we want all of this geometry here to kind of match the geometry that we have there, so it'll make it a little bit easier for us. So we can see that for now we only have one inside the side skirt, so we'll bring that up here. And again we will be adding some geometry inside here. We can't see too much detail on the actual side skirt itself on our example here, but there is an awful lot of information. Here this aligns quite nicely already with the actual crease of the bumper. So what we'll do is we'll align that here to the top and try to maintain the curve a little better as we go around. Now if I look on my references here at the rear of the car, so we have a little vent, and that vent looks to me like it's here. And then we also have this line that actually runs down this point here. So what I actually think we'll want to do with this for now is I think we'll want to delete the face there and we'll run with this one just here. Because I think what we'll want is we'll want to run up and around this point here. So we'll extrude down with maybe one more down here. Extrude around up this point here and all the way around to form the top line of the boot, and then we'll kind of extrude underneath from this point. So we'll keep that like that just now. I'm not sure at what angle we'll be working with that, so we'll just leave that there. And it looks like maybe over here we need a little bit more, so we can see we've already got some creases coming up here as well, so that aligns quite nicely. This here maybe bring in a little bit more. And again with this what we want to do, same as the front, this time we're going to use our back view, and it looks like our back view is way out of position here. So it looks like the rear of this has been moved, so let's must be this point here. Okay, so just get this back into position here. That looks pretty good, aligned with the center there. So maybe accidentally dragged that at some point. So let's hide those again. Okay, so we'll go back in here, orthographic our back view, and we'll hide these here, the wheels. Now, what we're going to want to do with this is we're going to want to do the same as we did before. We're going to want to make sure that these are mirroring the kind of shape as we go around here. So we're going to grab these and we're going to pull them in, and we'll grab this point here and we'll pull these in. So we're just going to follow this around just like we did at the front, because these wheel arches are never completely straight. Okay, so that looks good. And what we're going to want to do, if I can get a good view of the front side here. Now it looks like this section here fairly substantially moves in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow me to edit this here. Let's go back to our back view. I'm going to pull this out all the way to where the tire roughly should be. I'm going to use this tire here. If you don't have any tires or any wheels that you've created in the past or downloaded or anything like that, what you want to do at this point is maybe put a cylinder or something inside here just so that we can get an idea of positioning. And what actually happens here is this quite significantly cuts in on this tire, something like that. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring this up on a nice curve. Up here. And it's hard to see this in the actual orthographic images, but if you guys have some decent reference images, you'll see that there is quite a significant angle in there. Okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll start to work around the rear section of the car. Generally what I like to do, if you've been with us before, you'll already know that I do the front, I do the rear, and then I kind of meet in the middle with the two. I think what I'll do in this case is the same again. So we're going to be paying as much attention to the rear section here as we did to the front, to make sure that we're looking good there too. So the trickiest bit here is the bit we've already really identified. So it has a little bit of an intake here, but that intake is different on my different references here. It looks like sometimes this is kind of a reflector. I don't know if that's a US thing, where we have reflectors here, and then we also have the ones down here. I think on the EU that these are actually vents, maybe to get rid of some of the brake heat or something like that. So I think what we'll do is I think we'll go for the vents, because they do look a little bit cooler than the reflectors. So but the shape is exactly the same. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to grab them on the edge here. We're going to hit Ctrl E. We'll take this all the way over here. I'll take that all the way over here to this point. And down here too. I think what we'll do is we'll maybe put this on the underside of this crease. That'll allow us to work here. And what we'll do now is we're going to jump into our back view here. I'm going to need to ditch these. And we're going to want to pull these in like so. Okay. So it looks like maybe our panels here aren't perfect. Height wise it looks fine. Yeah, so maybe my blueprints here aren't exactly how they should be. But then again, it looks here like maybe I'm missing a section, because this is the rear light. So I think maybe in terms of the blueprints themselves, here we actually want this to be like so. So maybe they are aligned, but we're just missing a bit, just like we was on the front. So maybe pull those out here. And what we're going to want from these is we're going to want this to be a point here that we're going to pull all the way out. So we'll maybe just grab these lower sections here, pull them down. Okay. Just into position here. Maybe this one will want to be a little bit further out. But we'll also want this to be like this, so it's actually going to run up and around there. So I want that to be something like that. And we'll extrude each of these edges here. I'm going to hit Ctrl E and pull these out. And again, we'll get them on a line on this side. So that looks like there. Okay. And then what we can do is I'm just going to hold V, snap these together, and I'm quickly going to merge them. Okay. So we're going to want to grab each of these points and pull these in. So it's a shame that these blueprints aren't showing us everything that we need to in this rear section. Don't think it's too much of a cause for concern. Now again, it looks like it's got a line that comes down here, but I can't actually see that on the car itself. Looks like the bit between this point and the actual vent that comes around here is fairly flat, not too much happens. So I think what we'll do is we'll grab this one and this edge. I'm going to hit Ctrl E for extrude again, and we're going to bring this around something like that. Let's just get a better reference here. So we're going to follow that vent here all the way to the actual crease in the bumper. And then inside here, let's get our X-ray going. We'll go up here, down here, and down here. Okay. Now I think at this point we maybe want to be a little bit higher. Push that back just a little bit there. Maybe go something like that. Okay. And then I'm going to want to push. Let's just deselect this and go again. I'm going to want to push these out here. So I've got starts of that shape of that bumper there. You can see on here that I think this section lines up with what we're working towards here. Everything here looks a little bit out in our top view. Pull that out, something like that. Okay. And I'm going to insert some edge loops, so we'll maybe go one here. And we'll pull this out like so. And let's get these matching up here, so we'll pull this one down. And we'll want to get this up here. So it looks like everything's kind of on this curve all around here as well. So we don't want these to be in any other shape other than replicate what we have here. And then we'll maybe have this one following a similar trajectory as we have down there. It looks like that wants to come something like that. Okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll add in, yeah, we'll add in one more edge loop here, and we'll drop it something like that. Okay. Now I think this one actually wants to be over here. This one down here. So I'll have these points just kind of maintaining that shape. And then we just kind of want to find a good middle ground between the blueprints here because they're not looking perfect. Something like that. Okay, it's looking okay. Well, I think what we'll want to do at this point as well is we'll grab this edge here. I'm going to extrude this out. And this appears like it's going to make the rest of that curve now. I think what we'll maybe want to do is we'll want to create another edge loop around here. We'll use this edge loop here to kind of maintain the, can I access this here? Let's kind of maintain the edge of this point. Okay. And we'll want this one down here. Okay. It's a bit awkward with these blueprints not matching up, but I think that's looking okay just for now. One thing we could do as well is we'll grab this edge here, and we'll hit Control E, and essentially this point is going to end up meeting with the geometry down here. So I'm just going to hold V and snap those to it. I'm just going to have a look to see. It looks like we're maintaining a good line inside there for that too. Okay. Okay. I think we could at this point have a look at this here. So we're going to hit Control E. I'm going to take this up just once. See if we can find any corresponding elements of the blueprints. Now we couldn't see one on the rear. Maybe we've got one on the top. We don't have one on the top either. I'll just bring that in for now. Like so it looks like as we go up the lights, it actually gets somewhat thinner up here. And maybe to the side at this point. We'll grab the edge and we'll take it just one up and around the corner here. And then we'll take it again all the way to the boot lining. So bring this in fairly close, follow that around, and the same up here. And then these two here, it looks like maybe to about this point. Actually, to the top, yeah, to the top of the actual lining of the boot. So that should go like so. And then we'll maybe add 2 edge loops. Now let's have a look at the rear view because we might want these to match. So we can see here that we have our one here, which is going to go there. We're going to add one more in there, so we'll have one line, two line already. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to add 2 more inside here, one inside that gap. So we'll maybe drop one there first, and we'll start to help the curve around the corner there. Something like that, and that. And then we're going to want to drop 2 down here, so we'll drop one around here, and we'll bring that all the way in. And we'll do the same just down here, and bring that in too. Okay, so it looks like we don't want to be going in at this point. We want to be protruding out the way like so. So we'll pull these out on the x-axis. And then it looks like when they're at the top, they're actually overhanging on the lights. So it actually looks like at the top here, it's giving us some real definition. And then around the side here, maybe just overhanging ever so slightly. Does look like they get thinner as it goes. Okay, so that's looking pretty decent. You can see there that the light is going to sit nicely inside that point, which is good. Cool. Probably means as well that we could actually grab this and we can bridge that gap. Just going to follow around something like that, which is looking good. And then down here, we can grab these points, like Control E, pull these down. Straighten them off nicely. Okay, so we can see that's probably this point under here that we actually need to go to, and then we'll maybe add an extra point of reference inside there. So I'll insert an edge loop here. We'll maybe use this to follow this line. I'm not sure what that line is, but follow it something like that. So we can see that what we're going to be doing is running defined edges down and around this point here, which looks good. It may be a case that we might actually want to do something like this. So we'll use our polygon multi-cut tool here. It looks like maybe we'd actually want that to run down like so, and across here like so. Because what we'll actually want is that defined line that runs down and around here. It looks like we'll actually want that to run around from the arch, because it doesn't look like this point underneath here has a defined arch. Yeah, it definitely looks to me as if it stops there and moves up and around, which is cool. Throw that in. So we're looking pretty good there. I think we'll probably call it there for this episode. We can start to see now that looking down this edge here that we're starting to get quite a little bit of shape here to the car. So I think what I'll do is I'll quickly just grab all these points and flip them over to the other side so we can see. Starting to get some real shape. I've got a nice curve to that point there, which is good. The rear bump here is taking a little bit of shape. It's just unfortunate that our actual blueprints don't line up too nicely. So I think in the next episode, what we'll do is we'll continue to run along this rear section. After we've got these vents here, it looks like the rest of it, apart from the diffuser underneath, is fairly straightforward. The boot lid itself might look a little bit tricky, so we'll work on the rear section, maybe get that bumper done in the next episode, and then we'll maybe work down and join before going across in the middle there. I think this is going to go a little bit quicker than previous seasons, or series, should I say. Alright guys, cool.